So passage number 4, where essentially focuses on sociology or maybe anthropology if we look at culture and we want to call it that. So the and in fact to that extent I think it also has this distinct overlap with linguistics. It focuses on the word culture, where the core theme in the first paragraph is there was a time when culture was a positive word. Now culture has become a negative word. The next paragraph essentially continues that same theme. Notice on all sides culture is used in a trivializing way. It is hard to imagine applying the word culture to even the most bona fide cultural institution. So we don't say that MoMA fosters art culture. What is MoMA? MoMA is the Museum of Modern Art. It is an art museum which is located in New York. It is a museum that has played a major role in developing and collecting modern art and is often identified as one of the largest and the most influential museums of modern art in the world. So we're saying even for something like that, we don't associate art culture because culture has acquired that negative connotation. Now then the author says that okay, it does not mean that the culture itself has deteriorated. It is just the word that has acquired a negative connotation. And then ironically he says that this negative connotation may even be a sign of an improvement in our culture, of our increasingly analytical, sociological way of thinking about culture, which will in a way help us improve it further. And then he introduces a new thought. He says that considering that we have these issues with culture, why can't we really use words which are more specific, right? And here he goes, it is possible to imagine a more rational system in which one word describes the activities, another identity, and a third the implicit norms and ways of living. So today culture as a single word talks about all the three. So why not create 3 different words? And that is going to be better. They'd be narrower, they'd be simpler, but, and that's important, they'd also be less accurate. They would obscure the overlap between life, art, and politics. So these are not exactly watertight compartments. And another problem will be that they'd be less meaningful as well. So that's basically the core of our passage. Culture, positive, then negative, could be a good thing. Can we have 3 different words? Yes, but then there are going to be some problems with those 3 different words. So it's in a way better to stick to the word culture. Here is our first question. From the passage, all of the following statements give the meaning of culture except A, a search for personal fulfillment. I think this is easy. This is easy, right? This is the part that can help us find the answer. Then if we go back still, you'd see these 3 things that we are talking about. This is what culture is about, right? So if we look at these parts, A, C and D are mentioned in the last 2 paragraphs. Sorry, A, C and D. A, C and D are mentioned in the last 2 paragraphs. B, disparaging, D meaning denigrating a person or entity, is not mentioned with respect to culture anywhere, and that is why our answer for 13th should be option B. Here is your next one. In 1954, when the magazine Film Culture was founded, its name made movie lovers sound glamorous. Today it sounds vaguely condescending. So what was the context in which this example was brought in? This example was brought in to say that the word culture that used to have a positive connotation once upon a time has now gone on to become a negative word, right? And that's the point that we can infer from it. That's the point that it was designed to support anyway. So out of the 4, A talks about patronizing, which can be ruled out. Films are not culture. No, they are. It is just that nowadays the word culture has become negative. And once again, in C, by using this term, we are not reducing films to something that is of little worth. Remember, the passage tells us that it does not, the word culture has become negative. It does not mean that the things have actually deteriorated. All it means is that the word has changed. And that is why I think D, when you look at it, the meaning of culture has evolved to mean something darker and mistrustful, is going to be the best answer. Although I would prefer a little more negative a word instead of evolve. It can have those positive connotations, but that still undoubtedly is the best answer for this particular question. So for question number 14, we should go ahead and opt for D as our answer. Here is the 15th. Why should the word culture not be substituted by other words? So what was the reason cited? The other words are going to be less meaningful and they will not capture those interrelations. And let's see. So let's look at A. Will they trivialize? Not mentioned in the passage. Would create confusion as to the original? No. Culture, because of being broad, is the one which is creating confusion. The others are actually going to be narrower and more specific. C. Other words would be less exact and would hide the relation between different facets of life. Yes, both of these things are mentioned as criticisms, but let's look at D as well. Multiple words would not reflect the true essence of culture. I think C captures it more by adding the less exact part, so that makes it better than D, and therefore our answer for 15th should be option C. And here comes your question number 16. Central theme. So what is the central theme? Culture. Earlier positive, now negative, right? And the problems associated with it, yet why we need to retain it. So A, it highlights the multiple meanings of the word culture. It's not just about meanings, it's about the change. It concludes that our culture is currently fractured. No, it is just the word that has changed, not the culture itself. C, it advocates retaining the multiple meanings of the word culture and not substituting it by multiple words. Yes, this is right, but this is something that is narrow. Narrow in the sense that it reflects only the information mentioned in the last two paragraphs. It does not talk about the earlier paragraphs. And D, it gives the evolving and divergent meanings of culture and analyzes the confusion that it creates. That's better. That's better. I think an ideal answer will be something that combines C and D both. Because both of them in that sense can be termed narrow. D gives you everything except the last two paragraphs. C gives you everything except for the paragraphs other than the last two. So ideally, if you can add a hint of C in D, it will become perfect, but we don't create answer choices in the exam, and therefore when it comes to choosing the best option, we should choose D for question number 16th as our answer, and that concludes our discussion of passage 4.